grew up here when I was a kid. So for me, it was very important to, I don't want to say maybe give back is the sort of overused word a lot, but to be a part of the change, to be a part of the movement, and what can I do in the UAE that is kind of stamp something down here.
Shape something.
Because UAE is always growing. You know, since I was a kid, it was always growing. I always had ambitions. I always wanted to do better. Always wanted to go forward. Always wanted people to come in and make a better life for themselves. It's always been the culture of the UAE, and I wanted to be part of that.
What one thing, Sam, you believe is needed for a business to succeed?
So it's hard to be in this sport or business if you're not in love with
Into
it.
it.
So I remember actually selling bikes through other bike shops at the beginning, and we're also, I won't say ashamed, but you know, a bit embarrassed because a big brand had trusted us to manage this brand, and we're kind of like selling it out the back of a car, or you know, people made jokes. The two problems in, let's say, retail and industry: having a lot of stock and no customers, or having no stock and a lot of customers. Another big challenge was people. So obviously we didn't have any experience running a bike shop or any experience managing bikes or fixing bikes.
And how do you stay ahead of competition?
That's very hard, really. And we have an SOP, standard operating procedure, for we don't have it. How to deal with a customer when you know you have to say we don't have it.
Welcome to the Forward Thinking People podcast. I'm your host, Namita Ramani. Today, I'm thrilled to have a remarkable guest with us, Sam Sayadan, the co-founder of the Cycle Hub. Sam's dedication to customer service and his boundless energy has helped shape Cycle Hub into a cornerstone for cyclists in the UAE. With a mission to convert people into cyclists and a vision to create positive and lasting lifestyle changes, Sam and his team have truly made a difference. The Cycle Hub stands as a shelter for all the cyclists, offering top-notch products and experiences with an enthusiastic and professional approach. Sam's journey is not just about business success. It's about making people smile and fostering a love for cycling. Over the past 13 years, he has expanded the Cycle Hub into a second store at Jumeirah, Dubai, and also a third one now in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. This incredible growth is a testament to his leadership and vision. As a business owner myself, I'm truly inspired by what Sam has achieved. I'm eager to learn about the challenges he has faced and how he navigated them to build such a successful and a beloved brand. Join us as we dive into Sam's inspiring journey, the hurdles he overcame, and the impact the Cycle Hub has had on the cycling community. Sam, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's an
And
honor.
thank you for being a part
You're
of
very
it.
kind. Those words were very flattering. I don't think I single-handedly deserve all of that praise. It's a team effort, and a lot of other people are involved and made our journey successful. Really, they paved the way, honestly, for us, and we just walked that line.
So what inspired you to open Cycle Hub?
Well, you know, the journey is pretty easy for us. It started with sort of like the journey into cycling, where we took a step into cycling. We wanted to experience it. Someone said, "Oh, why don't you try riding a bike?" We're like, "Oh, that's right. That's a good idea," because we were motorcyclists.
When you say we, who we?
Me and my business partner, Khalid Al-Zaruni. So he was with me every step of the way. And he's kind of like, when I have doubts, he steps up. When he has doubts, I step up. It was kind of a great thing. And that's one of the beauties of having a partner in business, that you kind of help each other along the way. There's lots of things that you need, and a sounding board, as they call it in business, is good to have someone who's wise and knowledgeable. And he's that guy. So we together, he said, "Let's go ride a bike." I'm like, "Oh, how do we do this?" We borrowed bikes, we rented bikes. We didn't know what we were doing. That was the truth. And because we heard people are riding, there's a track, people are going out on the track there wasn't even Meydan open properly at that time, actually. I think there was
Al Qudra?
Al Qudra wasn't open either. It was only the Autodrome.
Right.
So that was one of the only places.
One of the days, on Wednesdays,
Yes,
there's a ride.
it was the only place you could ride a bike safely. That was a closed circuit, and other people were going out in the mornings with car support and so on out to the bottom of Al Qudra, which eventually became the cycle track under the guidance of His Highness. So that was the sort of the early days of cycling. There were other people already organizing these rides. There was thanks to the guys before us who made the efforts and put bike shops in the UAE, that we even had the option to get towards a bike. So we asked a friend for help. He said, "Oh, you can borrow my bike and you can borrow this bike." So we borrowed bikes. They weren't the right size. They weren't the right shape. We didn't have cycling shorts. We borrowed a helmet. We went on the Autodrome. The experience was interesting, but it wasn't a good experience. So we were like, "Oh, this is not so good."
It was not good because you didn't have the proper kit.
We didn't have the proper
bike.
kit, proper knowledge, proper kit. proper bike, proper anything. We didn't know how to train. Like you go for 5 minutes and you ride really fast and you're tired, or should you pace? We didn't know the terrain. We didn't know how to use the gears properly. There's a lot of things that we just didn't know. We had some experience riding bikes, but never on a circuit where it requires some kind of planning to do a few laps, right? You have to have an idea of what you're doing. So it was good. It's a good experience, like being thrown in the deep end, which it happens to a lot of people. So there's a way to develop that, so you need to give people advice and so on to do that. So that's another story. But the point was we didn't know, so we asked friends. Friends were very helpful. That's really to say that I say that people paved the ways, that other friends gave us advice. Oh, no, Sam, you didn't do this right. You need this size bike. Have you measured your height? I'm like, oh, no, I didn't know. Have you measured your inseam? I'm like, I didn't know any of that stuff. It's like going to a tailor. I didn't even know that I'm supposed to do all this at the beginning. So it was really helpful having people guide us, friends and colleagues. So we used to go riding with this other guy, Mark. He used to go around the neighborhood from his house in the green community. That's where we kind of started riding. And then we would go out of green community, go outside the gate and go, it was sand. And, we need a mountain bike. So we went and bought a mountain bike. And then which mountain bike to buy, we didn't know. So we bought a basic one and we started riding. And then people said, oh, you don't have a hydration pack. Oh, what's a hydration pack? Or where do you carry your water? You need 3 liters of water. Oh, isn't the bottles on the bike, that's enough? No, that you can only carry 1.2 liters. I'm like, how do you know all this stuff? How do you know all these numbers? It's obvious, it's written on the bottle. Okay, we're not very smart. So, but then you need an hour of water. For every hour of riding, you need a liter of water if you're mountain biking. So we learned that. And we said, there's so much to know. There's so much information. So based on that, we realized it's such a cool sport, such a cool hobby. There's so much information, but it's all interesting. You're constantly learning. You never stop learning in cycling. You learn how to deal with other people. You learn how to ride together. You learn how to develop yourself. You learn about the technology. So it's like in your life, you're working, you're learning a little bit at work, but you never have such a steep learning curve as you do in cycling. Just like cycling as a sport itself it's got a steep, when you want to climb a mountain, it's very steep. The learning curve in cycling is also very steep. You can learn a lot very quickly. You can learn to ride 10 kilometers this week, and you can learn to ride 50 kilometers in a couple of months if you do things properly. Yeah. So you can really expand
There's multiple. You grow fast.
You go faster.
As you get faster, you build muscles.
And it's very rewarding. When was the last time you learned something and got to apply it and you enjoyed learning and you feel good about yourself? So cycling is one of those sports that makes you feel good about yourself in whatever you do. Even if you help someone because you carried an extra tube in your pocket and you gave it to someone, you've just done the most amazing thing because you thought of having an extra tube. Yeah. Who else thought of that? You did. Yeah, you're a hero. Mm-hmm. So the journey was so exciting for us, and we thought we want to share this with other people. That's kind of the way the story started. And at the same time, you could see that there was this movement by the leaders of the UAE. There were, having the autodrome, having cycling tracks being built, having the idea of cycling tracks coming up.
Bringing sports in the country.
Yeah, and the focus on health and well-being, focus on... at that time, if I remember correctly, there was the conversation about the Al Qudra and how it was coming up.
You're talking this which year?
2011, 2012. I can't remember. I have to go back and check my dates and facts sometimes because I talk and feels like it's yesterday, but it's actually 12 years ago. 12 years. So the dates were like a bit muddled, but I remember it was all happening at the same time, So because we were trying to open our store, we were trying to bring the bikes in. Also, the other part was that we liked the products. We would see a bike and we would ride, and then we go somewhere else and someone said, oh, you don't have a carbon bike, you don't have this. What is that stuff? Mm-hmm. So it was all very nice and shiny and cool and light and cool, amazing. So we would ride a basic bike and go mountain biking where we first started, and we would change gears and the chain would fall off because the bike we had was basic and it wasn't geared for more aggressive riding. And then someone said, oh no, you need this shifter and this group set. And if you put that on, the bike will be smoother and it can shift under pressure. We're like, wow, we didn't know that. Every time I'm pressing it, I make a noise or something breaks. So the guys were giving us advice. And as we learned, we're like, wow, there's better. So we started falling in love with the fact that there was always something better and more technology and more advancement possible. It's like racing. There's cars and then there's Formula One cars, right? Yeah. Those guys have the best of everything. So why can't we have the best of everything? So we kind of looked around and said, how do we get the best of this stuff? And then we found that there's these great brands in the world that already exist, that already do this in other markets, which we don't know anything about. So we should call them and talk to them and ask them if we can bring that brand to the UAE, and that's kind of how the brand started. But maybe you can help me get back on track, because I will go.
You're on track. So you, basically, while riding, just experiencing the sport, you decided to open it up because you felt that there is not enough good quality bikes available in the market.
There was people doing it. There were people doing a good job. We thought, and I guess,
but there was room for more.
Yeah, there was room for more, and I think customers always want more choice. We're coming from a retail background and a marketing background that we know the customers like to have a range of choices.
So what were you doing before Cycle Hub? I'm going to interrupt you a little bit.
Oh, yes. I was involved in retail development, shopping malls, and retail side of development within the UAE. So I'm proud to have been part of some of the biggest malls in the UAE, some of the biggest retail projects, and also retail brands. And my first job actually was in a hotel, was in the Jumeirah Beach Hotel. That was my first job in the UAE, where I learned sort of how to be more professional, how to be more corporate, how to deal with corporates in the UAE, what kind of their needs are. So that
what were you doing with the hotel? What were you working
I was in sales.
Right.
So my objective was to get the clients to have events in our hotel. Yeah, corporate business. At one point, before that, I was dealing with the travel trade as well. It was good. I had a great experience.
So you understand travel and
it was a great experience to and with the people I worked with in the hotel, who were all very professionals actually. So especially that hotel, the Jumeirah Beach, was a very professional place. So I got a lot of exposure to corporates at the time, and then I saw what I wanted to always be a part of Dubai's development. I kind of grew up here when I was a kid, so for me it was very important to, I don't want to say maybe give back is the sort of overused word a lot, but to be a part of the change, to be a part of the movement, and what can I do in the UAE that has a kind of stamp something down here.
Achieve something in the country.
Yeah, achieve something. Be part of the group. Because UAE is always growing. Since I was a kid, it was always growing. It always had ambitions. It always wanted to do better. Always wanted to go forward. Always wanted people to come in and make a better life for themselves. It's always been the culture of the UAE, and I wanted to be part of that. So I'm proud to say that every day we help people make a better life for themselves through cycling. So that element of cycling, of being healthy, sport, activity, joining a community, adds that value to them. So I kind of feel like it's altruistic. It's a business, but it's also altruistic. When you see the smile on someone's face, you can't buy that. You can't get that for them to smile and be happy. Oh, I can't believe it. I haven't ridden a bike since I was 18 or 22, and they say that. You're like,
or
12, or never.
Yeah.
It's very rare, but that's an amazing feeling for someone to say that, and that's such a huge gap. That person really didn't. Maybe they drove a car. Maybe they've been working. They've done everything since they were a kid. The only thing they've stopped doing is cycling, because they used to love it. It was the first thing they wanted. It was a bike, right? And then after that, they forgot about it.
Because life happened.
Life happened. It happens.
Yes. And then this basically, the motorbike hobby shifted to a cyclist hobby, and then you decided to open the store. There are 2-3 things that I want to touch upon.
Sure.
One, you mentioned that it's great to have partner.
Yeah.
To have a sounding board. What are the challenges of having a partner?
I think
there must be some
actually
challenging.
with Khalid and I, it was always very easy. So he kind of made it easy because he's an Emirati, so he supported it from that side. So we didn't have to look around for anybody else. And whenever I was in doubt, he would say, "No, come on, we're going to do it, so let's do it." I think the challenge is you feel responsible. So there is a level of responsibility. You kind of,
you can't do your own thing because you have to, in a way, you have to have a joint decision.
Have a joint decision. But that's good. It's always good to have a consultant, someone who's wise and
consult each other in a way.
Yeah, I don't know. The challenge is sometimes you need a bit of help and you don't really have anyone. But that's life. It's like when you have a partner in life or you're married, you kind of rely on your husband or your wife or someone to sort of talk to. What's the challenge of having a husband or a wife? It could be daily, could be arguments or whatever, but who's going to put the lid on the toothpaste or something? I don't think it's that bad. We didn't have to be that close because he's wise, and he suggested to me at one point, he said, look, you take care of the business, and he empowered me to do most of the work with the operations of the business, and he's there as a guide and as a help. So he's not interfering. So I would say it's really, the challenges are very little, actually. I'm very lucky because most partners would probably want more detail or more information. While Khalid, as a guy, he's such a cool guy. He made it easy by saying, you run it and just let me know what you need. And having a non-intrusive partner is helpful.
Is a boon.
Is a boon, but a supportive and non-intrusive. So some people have...
Gives you the freedom to be...
Yeah, he doesn't say, give me the money. And when I say we don't have any, he says, but I want it anyway. No, it's not like that. So there are, I know of other people, partners have come in to do work together, and each partner has his own problems, right? So one guy has a problem with something, and he has to then ask the guys, okay, guys, I need to take my money out, or I need to leave town, or I've got to go, or I've had a baby. That could be a lot of pressure on another partner. I'm very fortunate, actually. I can't think of such challenges. I can't think of anything.
I think trust is a very big thing here, that you guys trust each other.
We were friends for many, many years, and we wanted to do business together anyway. So I think when we clicked on the topic that we both liked, we were motorcycle buddies. When you're motorcycle buddies and you ride fast next to someone on a motorcycle, you kind of have to trust them not to kill you,
Absolutely.
not to crash into you, right?
Yeah.
So we were good that way. And then when we started cycling, we'd cycle together as well. So you kind of trust each other to help each other, support each other during the ride. And then as it's kind of cycling made us better business partners, because we'd cycle together and we'd like, you didn't bring the water, or I got extra water. Okay, did you bring the tools? No, I've got the tools. Okay, so it's good. Always somebody's helping the other guy. So actually, now I've got a great idea. We could use cycling as a way to develop business partnerships. So you could get two people together who want to start a business and get them on a cycling journey along with their...
you have a new marketing idea.
There's a great idea. Yeah, and we could get people to work and they say, how did it go on that trip? Did you remember to bring your extra tube for your partner? Did you remember to bring, or marriage counseling? Maybe we can use cycling to sort
Now you're coming up with all these marketing ideas on the show.
Cycling could save the world. Come on.
You mentioned that you reached out to these brands who then decided to partner with you and basically give you the distributor rights for the region and the market. How easy was that? Because you were starting new, whereas there were other established cycle shops.
Mm-hmm.
Did you? Was there a minimum? Like when you be a distributor of a brand, you have a minimum commitment.
Yes.
For the amount of bikes you have to get, or the amount of investment you have to do. What were your challenges in that part of securing these relationships?
Yes, very good. It's a great question. I think there are different ways the distribution works and the brands look at the market. I think what we did was we kind of, when we contacted them, they gave us an indication of some of the things we need to talk about when we see them. And obviously, Khaled is a business school graduate. I'm a business school graduate. So I can say that kind of helped. You can't just show up and talk to these guys without the education that we need to have. So we're business school graduates with 10 years, 15 years of experience each in working in business. So does everyone have to have that? Maybe not, but to be the level and the representation we were given, the trust we were given, you would have to have some minimums. Then, of course, you have to have a financial backing and a firm sort of financial background to explain it and show your intentions and your research. So I spent a couple of weeks preparing. Actually, it wasn't easy. So we had to go to the Chamber of Commerce in Dubai. We did some research on, we had to pay to get the statistics. There's a process to follow just to do that, just to be able to get statistics of imports and exports into the UAE as an example for bicycles and bicycle parts. We did some research by going around to the other bike shops and the rest of the market to count and review the market that was taking place, like a real case study of cycling. We did some approach to the government and the Sports Council about what's happening in the future, if we can get some information on what's going on. We looked at the federation. We went to see them. We said, what's going on? We're getting into this business. What are you guys up to? What's happening in the Middle East? What's happening in cycling? So we tried to gather as much information, and we created a sort of a presentation, which took me a week to then compile. I took a holiday and I sat down and I did it because I had a job at the time. And then we went to see the brands at Eurobike, which is the world's biggest cycling exhibition. It was in Germany in 2011, 2012. And the funny thing was we were late to the program. Eurobike, people finish Eurobike in June this year, for example, and will then book their hotel room for June next year. It's Germany, and it's a big exhibition, and everyone knows if they're coming back next year, they better be organized. I think we booked like a week before, so we ended up staying in Switzerland. So we had to drive from Switzerland to Austria, Austria to Germany, and go through the traffic. Then eventually we get there, and the guy's like, this road's closed, the parking's closed, go around. So we drive around this big, huge place and get to the other side, park. So it's taken like 3 hours or 3 days to get to this place.
It sounds like 3 days, but I'm sure it must be 3 hours.
It's 3 hours. But you could drive through a couple of borders, and it's really funny. You're like, where is this place? You drive through 3 countries, 2 countries to get there. So then we get there, and then we go to the exhibition, and we arrive. And the guy said, oh, listen, I'm really busy. Can you come back later in the day? And this, I've flown all 7 hours. I've booked, driven a couple of hours. it's all last minute. I've been doing this presentation. I've been
You
doing
have
weeks.
to hear me out.
And the guy's like, can you come back at the end of the day? I'm like thinking in my head, the end of the day, this guy's going to be like exhausted. He's not going to want to hear my great presentation. I've prepared myself. I'm like, dun, 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 dun.
Did you suit up? I'm sure you
No,
did.
no suit that day.
Cycling
just
exhibition,
just a casual. I was now this is my new uniform, but I was shirt and pants.
Okay.
And the guy, and I was about to like lose it, and as soon as I was about to scream, Khaled grabs my arm. He's like, "That's great. We'll come back at 6 o'clock." And the guy was like, "Okay, thanks." And I told him, "Khaled, are you crazy? I'm going to kill that guy." He said, "This is perfect. We've got an appointment with the biggest brand at 6 o'clock. We've got the whole day to go around and learn everything we need to learn before when we come back, we're even more smart and even more sharp." I'm like, this guy's so smart. I was about to lose my mind. He's like, let's go sharpen our knife even more and come back to meet this guy. So when we did, we had the presentation. We explained to them what we're going to do. We said, we're going to create a hub. We're going to create a place for cyclists. We want a building that has all the facilities. We took pictures of their other concept stores and made like a montage like you do when you present a brand to a shopping mall. Because it's a retail project at the end of the day. So we had that experience of, for example, if someone came to me at a mall and wanted to present a brand to me and said, I would like to put this brand in your mall. Now, how do I gauge that brand in my mall? So I had the same criteria going the other way. So I said, this is how it's going to look. This is how it's going to be laid out. This is the activity of the people. This is how our work will work. We're going to be involved in building cycling tracks, and we're going to be involved in building off-road tracks, and we're going to encourage people to go on group rides, and we're going to create facilities for beginners. So these guys were like, wow. And then here's our financial projection for the next couple of years. And here is our financial backing. And this is how much we're investing. And I had the business plan and the financials vetted and carried out with an accountant to help me as well to make sure that it wasn't just the flaky stuff, even though we had some experience in numbers ourselves. So our numbers were spot on. Our plan was spot on. And they were hearing something they probably never heard from a normal bike shop guy who comes, yeah, I'm going to open a bike shop. Yeah. Bike shop people are passionate. They love their sport. They love the bikes. But maybe they're not business minded. We came in from, we had the power of having both, having a business etiquette and business mind. With we've just gone crazy for cycling at the same time. We're totally at the beginning of the slope going up of excitement for cycling and this great brand that we were talking to, which is Specialized, if I can say. Yeah. So Specialized being one of the biggest global brands in cycling. And on the same day, we also met the guys from Pinarello, which was even more prestigious. You know, the guy, he was in a suit and he was Italian and he offered us an espresso. And it was all very, you know, classic Italian experience. We're like, this is amazing. And Khaled loved it because he's also very calm and professional guy. While I'm all excited, I'm like, this is unbelievable.
We're getting two brands.
Yeah, woo. And we had lots of other conversations with lots of other brands. Again, if you represent yourself properly, you have the right goal and you have the right... we'd like to think, you know, there's a movie called The Blues Brothers. Mm-hmm. And in the movie, The Blues Brothers, these two guys are the Blues Brothers, are on Jake and whatever. They're on a mission from God. That's what they kept saying to people, saying, we're on a mission from God. That's what they say in the movie to people because they've got this briefcase and police are chasing them and they're causing all this chaos, but they are on a mission from God because they're doing something for the church or something like that. So we also believe that. We said that God has directed us to cycling. God has told us to do this and to share it with people. And we feel like it's a positive, we know it's a positive mission. And if it's, obviously the road is being laid out in front of us, so good positivity couldn't happen without the blessing. So we believe in it. So we kind of, we have to say thank you. And remember that path is also, like I said, paved by other people along the way. So it's not just two guys. We went to see Khaled's father before. This is a funny story. So we went to see Khaled's father to get his blessing, you know. So he, you know, he's the big guy, you know. And he said, so he's kind of, I tell this story, it's quite funny. We explained, he said, so where'd you get the numbers from and how'd you get these calculations? And so we went around and we looked at some people cycling and we counted 20 people riding, which means if there's 20 people, there's probably 400. And he's like, what? And then we give the statistics to him, like we based it on, like, it's a sample. You know, today we saw 20, it means there's 20 every day. That's 20 times 7 is 140, whatever, 120. So we gave him these numbers. He's like, and then I think he told Khaled, said, I don't think this guy understands business in the conversation in Arabic. So the guy was like, I'm like, what did he say? He said, don't worry, just listen. And so we continued. He said, well, it's up to you guys. And, you know, if you want to do it, you do it. And our joke is like, we're two young guys. He said, it sounds like you're two guys who got really excited about cycling, and now you want to start a cycling business. We're like, yeah, that's it. That is true. That's exactly what is true. We're two guys who got excited about cycling. We want to start a cycling business. That's exactly, you're right. It's not like anything else. For him, it's like, is it business? Business should be done without emotion and should be very organized. And so, no, this is totally passion. Like, we're going nuts.
Cycling, it makes you passionate.
You can't.
It's the sport. It's in the sport.
You can't do it without the...
Once a cyclist, always a cyclist.
You can't do it without the love of the sport. You can't do it without the thrill, the noise and the feeling. If that doesn't... So it's hard to be in this sport or business if you're not in love with it. Yeah, your bad days is covered by a good ride. That's how we say.
Absolutely, I believe it. When I'm having a bad day, I go for a ride. So what were your challenges in the beginning years of
I think finding the location was always a hard thing. In any business, location is a big decision. So we looked at the common locations where all the other bike shops were at the beginning, and we thought we should be next to them because people would go there already, and then they would see us. And then we kind of decided at that time, we knew that the cycle track was being built in Al Qudra, so we made the decision to go to Motor City because the Autodrome was being used at that time on Wednesday nights, which was
closer
good.
And
we're close to what the cycling would be
in future.
Would be the cycling.
That was a wise decision.
Yes, it was. It was good at the beginning, and people used to come by for breakfast. And we also added the bistro. So we thought the bistro was really important because we used to go cycling in the mountains and then eat like
all the junk.
Aloo parathas afterwards in the mountains because that's all there was. That was nice, but we loved it. But at the end of the day, that was not the best food for a cyclist after the ride, or people trying to maybe stay in shape or lose weight or whatever. So we knew that cycling also has a healthy element, and we wanted to promote that. We have fish, we have chicken, we have beef, but we also have it in a clever way through the Paleo Bistro. So that was a challenge. So we luckily found exactly the box we were looking for because we wanted a box, we wanted a hub, we wanted a place. It's a structure, like a building. I want to say like a mini IKEA, which is like a standalone box. So hopefully I can use their name, but call me. But yeah, that's what we wanted with parking and accessibility. It's always a challenge in retail, and we got lucky with that place in Motor City, and it was kind of like left out, but we fixed it up, and we're proud of that location. And it was a great start for the business. Another big challenge was people. So obviously we didn't have any experience running a bike shop or any experience managing bikes or fixing bikes. So we needed to import the professionalism in terms of people who knew what they were doing or had been involved in opening a shop or creating a marketing strategy for a shop. I'd like to think we were good because we did a lot of it ourselves. Like the architect of the building was me and Khaled. We have architects who helped us and gave us advice, but at the end of the day, we decided where everything went. The contractor we hired and we managed him because we had experience, so we knew how to manage a contractor. That was also another challenge, of course, finding a contractor and building a building. It always takes longer than you expect. Someone told us it will always take longer than you expect and cost more than you think, which was true. So that ended up being the case, but we did the best we could. It was like, we don't need carpets, we'll just epoxy the floor, which is a great idea because we've had a couple of floods. So I'm glad we didn't have any carpets. So we did a lot of things where we could save, but still keep the authenticity of the building and focus on the products. And people said they liked it, so it's always been nice. I'm sure you could go into a shop in a mall and it's got carpet and beautiful furniture and wall. It's probably a more elegant facility, but our facility is a bit more raw and a bit more
plastic. It's not the cycling.
Just like about cycling, once you get out there, you might have a beautiful bike made of carbon, but at the end of the day, you're battling the elements. It's the rain, the weather, the road. So the building is actually still a nice place. So yeah, those were the kind of challenges. The construction on time, getting the staff, and finding the location. Once we found the location, was the construction. And then once the construction, it was the staff. One of the challenges we also had was, obviously, you mentioned earlier that brands have an expectation. They say, great, you're going to represent us. Now here is the list of all the things you should have to represent us professionally. You need these, and these, A to Z. And you're supposed to buy them all and bring them here into this market to have an A to Z collection. You can't choose B and D and G. Otherwise, that's not good. So we tried to do our best, and then we ordered it all within the timelines that we'd explained to the brands, and they'd accepted at the beginning, and kind of we were late. So everything arrived, and the shop was not ready. So we had a warehouse full of stuff.
The cycling stuff.
And nice stuff. So I remember actually selling bikes through other bike shops at the beginning. Like I remember Barbara, one of our first customers, a mountain bike lady, who bought an Epic from us, who wanted to do the Cape Epic cycle race, which is one of the most difficult races in the world. And she bought a specialized Epic mountain bike. And I brought the box to another bike shop, a little bike shop in Alcuz, and she came there to meet me, and I borrowed a credit card machine from someone else to take the transaction from her. She didn't mind. She was understanding. I told her this is what's happening. Yeah. She was understanding. But that's kind of the way we did the first few transactions. It was like we're selling out. We said, we swear there's a big bike shop coming. Yeah. And we're also, I don't say ashamed, but a bit embarrassed because a big brand had trusted us to manage this brand. Yeah. And we're kind of like selling it out the back of a car, or people made jokes. But I said, this is temporary. You're dealing with me directly. Everything is legit. And we told the brand that this is happening. They said, fine, but get on with it. So we tried to get it going. And he said, as long as you're serving the rider. So we would say to people, we're open for services. We will service your bike even in any shop if we have to. But we try to maintain that kind of level of customer service from the beginning. And I think once the shop opened, we offered that, and it was very impressive when it opened.
So that's my next question. How did you attract new customers to the shop? Because now you're in a different location altogether, not near the other bike shops.
Yes.
So you're on your standalone. So how did the brands attract the customers by themselves?
Definitely. I think that we have to also be thankful, again, to the brands for their, they have a power in the world. Those brands, if they're good brands, people respect them and acknowledge them. But there is possible that people don't know that brand as well. We have the same challenge in Saudi right now, where our brand is not known to the average person who grew up with a certain brand there already, and they're used to drinking one soft drink, and they call the other soft drink the same name. They say, get me Bibsy, but it's actually a Coke. So they just say, get me a Pepsi, and they're drinking Coke, but they're saying Pepsi, and you're like, that's weird because it says Coca-Cola on the bottle. So there are that element in cycling. Here, we're lucky that the original
customers understand.
They knew the brands. They knew them from, let's say, other countries. So a lot of the expatriates who live in the UAE were familiar with these brands. Also, people go online. They type in good bicycle brands global, and the top few names will pop up, and they'll look and see which ones, the buyer behavior. So we understood that buyer behavior would help us. They would go research, and they would lead to us. What we wanted to do also quickly was we got out and we, got ourselves into events, activated. We got our kit, and we had the name Specialized and Cycle Hub on the kit and Pinarello. So that's still on our jerseys. And we would do some sort of local promotion as much as we could. We got some deals with the federation. We tried to do some cycling club deals as well to get the bikes in the hands of the common cyclists. Basically, we got out there and rode. That was kind of one of the main things, to get out there and ride. People get to see the brand. What's this? And I think the community is small, the word spreads, which was lucky for us. So this community was small, the word spread, and then
leveraging the community.
We were there, and we were already growing with the community, and the community was growing with us. So it kind of was like a chain reaction, if you like. Yeah. Just like cycling, it's all a cycle. It just keeps moving.
Yeah. What are your biggest challenges with the team, with the staff? So, you have various staff. You have admin, you have the front-end retail, you have the cafe, bistro staff, you have the mechanics, and this is all different skill set. Mm-hmm. How do you manage your team and keep your team motivated?
Yeah, there's a couple of things there. That's obviously the type of our business, it revolves around customers and products, right? So there's a customer service element, but there's also the physical product element. So the physical product, you might be a happy customer, and all you really want is the right part. And if we can't get you the right part, now you're an unhappy customer, regardless of how nice we are with you or whatever. If that's not the right part, you're not happy. Or you got the right part, but it's not working or something like that. So it's a complicated one because it's such a technical sport or a hobby, and it's very personal. There's a safety element involved for people. Of course, they have to feel safe on their bike when they're out riding, especially at speed. And also the time, so they only have so much time. Most people in the UAE or any of our markets are professionals who are cycling on the weekends, and they only have 2 days or 1 day, maybe 1 day, that they can go out and ride their bike. And if something's not working on that day, that ruins their weekend possibly, especially in the morning, because that's when people go out. So we really have to be spot on. So having the right product at the right time has always been a challenge. That's something that we've always struggled with, but we still do, but we do our best. Inventory and getting it in time, because it all has to come from somewhere else. None of it is available in the UAE. It has to be imported. Even if I'm buying it from someone else, they brought it in from somewhere else too. So none of it's manufactured in this region. It has to come from somewhere else. Sometimes there's long lead times between 3 months to 6 months for certain products. Then there's the sort of the team trying to understand and manage all those products and manage the customer's expectations. So that's probably one of the hardest challenges, is having the stock on time, having it available all the time, and having it there at the moment the customer needs it. The guys are generally pretty good at giving the people the advice. So you need this. Is it great? And he said, but we don't have it. So that's a horrible. We even have a SOP.
It's very disappointing.
Yes, it's very disappointing.
When you don't get what you want.
No.
Being a cyclist myself.
Yes.
I want it now and want it then.
Because you need it. You've been told you need it and you know you need it. And we have an SOP, standard operating procedure, for we don't have it, of how to deal with a customer when you know you have to say we don't have it. They say don't say no, but you can't say no to, can't not say no if you know you don't have it. So
That's amazing to have SOPs for customer service.
we tried. And so that's one of the other things. So those are the challenges, like you said. The guys love bikes. They're passionate about cycling. They love fixing bikes. They like riding bikes.
The whole
they like
team
selling.
is part of the community.
They're part
They
of the
are all cyclists.
They're all
as well.
cyclists. They love it. But not everybody is, let's say, an administrative expert in reading Excel sheets or reading SOPs or even adhering to SOPs. What's that? I help the customer. Don't worry, I'll help him. I know you'll help him, but what happens if you say this? What happens if you say that? So there's that element of bringing the expectation of our customer level, especially the people who are, let's say, middle management or upper management here, who can afford more prestigious bikes, premium bikes. They have a higher expectation. These might be people who buy Range Rovers or Ferraris or something, but they also expect the same kind of customer service from their bike shop. So how do you bring the guys up to a greater, higher international bike shop level? That's the challenge as well. But we do it every day. We have training, we have SOPs, we try to find nitpick and try to make corrective action all the time.
When did you know it's time to expand? Because you already have 2 more stores and expanding internationally. Did you?
Yes.
How did you decide
well,
that?
we have relationships with other dealers in other markets, which we've helped establish, but those guys were running them, the shops. So I have been have an international presence in the last few years in Qatar and in Oman, and we have a dealer in Abu Dhabi. But with Saudi Arabia, it's such a big market. It's such a big country. And the brand was like, are you going to move into Saudi Arabia as well? Yes, we are. When are you going to do it? Well, we're working on it. It's a big step. And it's
So there was a push from the brands as well to expand in the GCC.
They asked us, they said, are you going to do it? What's your plan? Because we know that's a big market and we know the other competitors are there, but you're not there, we're not there. Are you going to go? We said, we are. And we also knew that there was you have to keep moving, right? Again, back to cycling, you have to keep moving. If you stop pedaling, you're going to fall behind the group. And at the end of the day, it is a business and we want to sustain it. We want to create a following. And a lot of our customers from here might be in Saudi, actually. They say, yeah, I moved. I'm working on a project now in Saudi, especially development guys, because there's a lot of development in Saudi. So they are like, hey, where's Cycle Hub? Oh, here it is, thank God. So they're actually happy to see the shop there. So I meet some of the same customers I met 10 years ago, 8 years ago in Dubai, in Saudi now. I was there last week. So, which is amazing. So the challenge was to get there and represent the same level and standard. We looked and we thought, do we want to partner with someone? But we said, if we're going to do this correctly in the way we want it, the only way to do something,
do it ourselves.
Do it yourself. So we went there as Cycle Hub. We started the company. We built it the way we wanted, which is the way we build our shops, with all our facilities together and the fitting studio and the workshop element there, and give that to the market so they can see what it should look like. And now we're setting a benchmark, a showcase for the rest of the guys, whether that spurs the other guys, other competitors or other new entrants to the market to also activate, which is fine with cycling because you need to all be pushing each other, which we know works, or it helps us launch the rest of our sort of development in that market as a benchmark for ourselves, as a stepping stone to the rest of the Saudi Arabian market. So we knew we had to go.
And what about expanding in Dubai?
We get offered
You open a new store in Jumeirah.
Yeah, well, the Jumeirah store was, an important step for us to be on the other side of town and serve the other end of Dubai, and a different sort of lifestyle. Maybe Jumeirah has a bit more casual, more relaxed attitude in that
also
area.
The cycling track nearby.
The cycling tracks nearby, and there is development going on all over Dubai. So we wanted to have some. I guess the Motor City location serves one side of town, and Jumeirah serves, let's say, Dubai and Sharjah in a way, because you can access it from that side of town. And Dubai's community is a lot of people live on that side of town.
And how do you stay ahead of competition?
That's very hard, really. It's cycling, right? You've got to keep training. You've got to keep training your staff. You've got to train yourself. You've got to do the best you can. And that's cycling. You could be in front and there's 10 people behind you. If you watch the races, they're all coming up on them.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. And you need those competitors, actually. They help. Khaled's always been like, yeah, let's get more people involved. The merrier, he says, because they will create a movement for the community. That if the government sees that there's lots of investment in cycling, if the government sees that there's lots of people supporting cycling, they will also, and there's more people cycling, so that I'm sure
there's always going to be more demand.
the rulers of Dubai have led this way. They made the cycle track. The rulers of Abu Dhabi led the way by creating the race team, by creating cycling tracks, by sponsoring teams. And now you see UAE team Emirates on the podium of the greatest races in the world because UAE is interested in promoting cycling. So now that the rulers are doing that and the other people follow suit, and the whole industry will grow. So there'll be more people entering it. There'll be more interest in the industry. There'll be more people entering the industry saying, you know what, I'd like to work in a bike shop. Probably not. Years ago, no one ever said that. So you know what, I've been to that shop. It's really cool. I like that environment, that lifestyle of working in that environment. I don't want to work in an office. I want to work in a bike shop. It's very rare.
During 2020, when everything came to a stop, people stopped going out, there was these restrictions to cycle together. How did Cycle Hub face that challenge and come out of it? Because sales must have stopped for you as well, right?
Yes, the shop was closed, but we actually had two parts to it. It was amazing. So first, it was the cyclists didn't want to be stopped, right? So if you're a cyclist, you didn't want to stop. You knew you couldn't go out. In Europe, they kind of allowed it. Europe and America, going outside and countryside, people were cycling, and that was the only escape. I actually said cycling is the antidote to coronavirus to people. One, it makes you healthier and builds your cardiovascular system. And two, you get away from the crowd and get out there and ride your bike. So it was actually already a natural antidote. I was telling everyone, cycling will save us from corona. People were like, what's wrong with you? So, but they couldn't come to the shop officially for a while. But there was another, and we were not sure what would happen. So nobody was sure. The whole world came to kind of...
Had all that stock, and
there
were no stocks available actually.
At that time, there was stock. So what happened was there was a little bit of a wave towards indoor cycling. So people were buying by their home trainers and so on to get trained home, the people who had a bike. So all the indoor trainers went quickly within the first month or two of COVID lockdown and after lockdown. Then there was a slow movement towards letting people out for exercise every day, an hour, where cycling became one of the options.
So it actually proved better for you, for business.
Everyone in the world who was involved in cycling had a massive boom after COVID. But what they were doing was they were selling everything they had because there was no production. So they sold everything they had in every shop in the world, and then there was actually no stock to sell. I told someone, they said, oh, well, that's great, you sold everything. I said, that's not really a good problem. The good problem is the two problems in, let's say, retail and industry: having a lot of stock and no customers, or having no stock and a lot of customers. But if you have a lot of stock and no customers, you can still do something and go out and find people. You can do a promotion. You can cut your prices by 50%, which is what's kind of happening in the world right now, maybe.
Because now it's too much production.
But having no stock meant you can't do anything. You can't sell a single thing. So that was kind of where it came to at one point after lockdown. So our problem didn't start at lockdown. It kind of did really well after lockdown. And then again went bad when everything was open. Everybody was ready to come out and ride a bike, and we couldn't do anything.
That's interesting problems to have. How do you maintain such amazing energy levels?
I take it from other people.
Really?
Yes. So usually most people who leave a room with me are always exhausted. I hope you don't feel that way.
I think I don't. Actually, since you've come, you're so vibrant and so energetic. You're actually giving me energy.
Oh, really?
You actually kind of liven me up. This is my third show of the day.
Wow,
so
that's
I
amazing.
actually feel energetic and strong and more awake because of your presence and your energy.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I would say I get my energy from, I got to thank my mama. I got to thank my mother. And of course, God, because he's put me on this path, right? I'd like to think that. I'd like to say that I'm on a path, and that path is a positive path. So thank God I have the energy and to do the job that I've been assigned to do.
It's part of your nature.
Thank you.
the energy. If someone wants to start cycling and experience the sport,
They
what
can call
type
you.
of
You started. And I think one element that I didn't say on that we always stuck to is that we considered ourselves as beginners. Always have. Like, we're not Tour de France competitors. At the end of the day, we are still beginner cyclists because it's not a profession for us. It's a hobby. It's fun. It's leisure. I get benefit from people cycling. I also get benefit from myself cycling. So it's a hobby. It's a leisure thing. And we are beginners in a way that we're beginning of the sport. I'm not spending my days training every day to become a champion, which other people are, or I'm not entering any races to that level where I'm trying to win. So I consider myself as a beginner. And that attitude has allowed us to get this far. I would like to say that attitude of always being humble and always understanding that there's more out there. And if you have that approach to anything, even other work or other affairs, you know that you need to learn more. So my cup is always empty. I'm never like, I'm the guy. I do say that to people sometimes who question us. They say, oh, really, do you think this is right? I said, well, you came to the place where you wanted to meet the doctor. So I'm the doctor and I'm advising you like this. If you want to go see a normal doctor, he's not going to know this stuff. He won't know the answer to this question. So being humble and also believing that you've got more to learn helps you with the sport. So that's why the quest for knowledge it drives us as well. More knowledge.
So if you would like to inspire a cyclist, you want to say something, where should they come and what bike should they buy?
Oh,
the first bike, if a new beginner wants to start cycling.
Well, it depends where they're going to ride, but the answer is always tarmac, the cycle hub, Specialized.
That is the answer.
There's always an easy answer. People ask you what bike, you say tarmac, you say where, the cycle hub. So that's an easy one, but I think people should, can rent a bike. They can start with renting a bike.
Experience it first before choosing to buy.
Yeah, try before you buy. We encourage that. We also encourage you to ask a friend, or find some people in the community. They will guide you a little bit. You don't have to make the decision alone. You're not alone. Get a buddy. Cycling is always good to have a buddy. A cycling buddy really helps you. They encourage you. They promote it to you.
I'm going to ask you some few fun questions. I actually laid them down. It's going to take a few minutes more.
Sure.
What does Sam do to relax? Do you ever relax?
Frisbee.
Cycle? Frisbee?
I play frisbee.
What motivates you?
Ooh.
I'm making Sam think.
That's crazy. What motivates me? Just doing small achievement. I think achievement of anything, any small result is a motivation for me.
Your favorite dish at the bistro, at the Cycle Hub bistro?
Oh, that's a good one. That's really hard questions. The paleo dishes, probably, oh man.
One dish, Sam.
I like them all. That's not fair.
Choose one.
I ate everything there. Maybe the salmon. I love salmon. So salmon's good as fish. It's healthy.
Okay.
Made me pick. You made me choose.
What one
You're making
thing?
me nervous.
I made it happen
It's
because you can
very
never
rare.
make Sam nervous.
Yeah, it stress me.
What one thing, Sam, you believe is needed for a business to succeed?
Never give up.
Never ever give up.
Never ever give up. You've just got to keep going. You've got to keep going. If you ever give up, then that's it. It's the end.
Thank you. Thank you for coming on the show. It
Thank you
was
so
a pleasure
much.
having you.
Thank you so much.
I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did. Until the next one,